The voice. In the vast expanse of an empty white room, silence pressed itself against every corner as though it were the very fabric of the walls. There was no furniture, no door, no light source, yet it was not dark. The space hummed with a quiet stillness, broken only by the soft shuffle of two figures seated on the spotless floor. They faced each other, cross-legged, their heads tilted in quiet conversation. One of them, a curious observer with a gentle demeanor, seemed at peace despite the emptiness around them. The other, however, fidgeted. Restless hands drummed on unseen surfaces. A ceaseless stream of chatter flowed from its lips, at times anxious, at times boastful, and always unbidden. The observer listened patiently but said very little, offering no interruption. "What do you think she meant when she said that?" the fidgeting one asked suddenly, breaking the silence that had stretched between their words. Maybe she was upset, or worse, disappointed. Yes, she must have been disappointed. Oh, I should call her, or... No, it's too late. What if she... Shh, said the observer softly, raising a hand. The fidgeting figure paused, but only for a moment. "But you don't understand. If I don't figure this out, something bad might happen. Remember that time I didn't say anything? That was a disaster. I should—" The observer tilted their head and studied the speaker, who seemed so animated yet curiously out of place. Their movements didn't match the serenity of the white room. They looked like a caricature drawn hastily in a world designed for stillness. The observer's lips curved into the faintest smile, as though they had solved a riddle they hadn't realized they were pondering. It was then that he noticed something peculiar about the voice. It played both sides of every conversation with an effortless fluidity, as if it cared less about the argument itself and more about the act of arguing. It was relentless in its need to speak, to fill the void. The voice would spring to life when the observer was tired and longing for sleep. "What am I doing? I can't go to sleep yet. I forgot to call her. I remembered in the car, but I didn't call. If I don't call now... Oh, wait, it's too late. I shouldn't call her now. I don't even know why I thought about it. I need to fall asleep. Oh, shoot, now I can't fall asleep. I'm not tired anymore, but I have a big day tomorrow and I have to get up early." The observer sat in quiet disbelief, realizing just how cunningly the voice entwined itself into every moment. No wonder sleep evaded them. This uninvited chatter disrupted not only their rest, but the clarity of their thoughts. Why did I tolerate it, this endless, ceaseless monologue? Even when the voice spoke gently, offering soothing reassurances, it was still disrupting whatever the observer was trying to do. He had spent some time now simply observing the voice, and the first undeniable truth he uncovered was this: it never stopped. It spoke without pause, as though silence were a vacuum it could not abide. When left alone, it filled the stillness with words, a cascade of thoughts tumbling one over the other. The observer pictured someone walking down a quiet street, muttering constantly to themselves. It would seem strange, wouldn't it? If they're the one talking, the observer mused, and also the one listening, they must already know what's about to be said. So what's the point? The realization struck with the clarity of dawn. This voice was doing exactly the same thing. And yet, it was curiously nonsensical. When the voice argued, who was it arguing with? Who could possibly win? And why, after reaching one conclusion, would it shift sides, seamlessly contradicting itself to start the cycle anew? It was as if the voice was simply looking for a comfortable place to rest, but it could never find one. It had no allegiance to truth, only to its need to keep talking. The observer watched, fascinated, as the voice shifted, adapted, rephrased, and pressed on, indifferent to right or wrong. It was a startling epiphany. The voice wasn't a guide, nor a trusted confidant. It was a mechanism. Recognizing it as such changed everything. "Who are you?" the observer asked at last, their voice a gentle echo in the vast whiteness. The fidgeting one froze, their eyes widening. Who am I? What a question. I am, well, I'm you. I'm part of you. I'm here to help you figure things out, keep you company, and, you know, talk things through. Talk things through, the observer repeated, leaning forward. But haven't you noticed? You never stop talking. Of course not. There's always something to say. If I stop, who will keep you safe? Who will make sure you don't forget anything important? The observer nodded thoughtfully, but their gaze grew sharper, more curious. And yet, when you talk, I find myself only listening, always listening. If you are me, how can I listen to you? The fidgeting figure blinked as though caught off guard. What do you mean? The observer sat quietly for a moment, letting the question hang in the air like a weight waiting to drop. Then they spoke again, their voice steady and calm. You're not me. You're my inner voice, the one who talks and talks, spinning stories, fears, and plans, endlessly filling the quiet. But that's all you are, a voice. I am not you. I am the one who hears you. The restless figure seemed to falter, shrinking slightly as though exposed under a harsh light. Its once confident chatter slowed, each word tumbling out softer, less certain. The observer continued, In fact, the only way to get any distance from you is to stop believing what you say defines me. To stop feeling that one thing you say is me and the other thing isn't. If I can hear you talking, it's clear. You're not me. I am the one who hears. I am the one who notices you're talking. The observer leaned back, his eyes thoughtful as the room's vast whiteness seemed to stretch endlessly around him. The realization sank deeper. Thoughts, so incessant, so demanding, had far less impact on the world than he would like to believe. A storm of thoughts about tomorrow's rain could never make the skies clear, nor could endless replaying of yesterday's mistakes Levin change a single moment of the past. If he simply sat still and observed, the truth became clear. The vast majority of these thoughts had no relevance at all. They were little more than background noise, a theater of endless chatter meant to distract, to entertain, to soothe or provoke. And yet, they affected nothing outside this mental stage. The rain would fall or not, regardless of the mind's opinion. The observer smiled faintly. It was almost absurd to see how much energy the mind spent trying to shape a world it didn't control. Slowly, a deeper question began to form. If so much of what the voice says is meaningless and unnecessary, then why does it even exist? The answer revealed itself in the simplest of ways, as if the room itself whispered the truth. The voice spoke for the same reason a tea kettle whistles. There was pressure, build-up. Energy within, unprocessed and unresolved, demanded release. The voice, for all its ceaseless chatter, was simply an outlet. Watch, the observer thought to himself. And so he did. The voice would grow loud when fear bubbled up inside, rehearsing arguments that would never happen. You should have said this. Next time, make sure you say that, it would insist. When anger flared, it became sharp and repetitive, telling off imagined adversaries over and over, as though words alone could dissolve the tension. And when the heart yearned, the voice spun stories of longing and fulfillment, trying to grasp what felt just out of reach. The observer watched all of this with quiet curiosity. The patterns were unmistakable. The voice became loudest when something inside wasn't at peace. Nervousness, frustration, or unfulfilled desire stirred a storm, and the voice rose to meet it. It didn't matter if the thoughts were practical or nonsensical. The voice's purpose was simply to let that energy escape. The voice, the observer whispered, is not the problem. The problem is believing it is all there is. The voice wasn't an enemy, nor was it a guide. It was a release valve, a tool, a harmless mechanism, until it was mistaken for the truth of who they were. The observer smiled again, a deeper calm settling over him. The voice might continue to speak, but he no longer needed to follow it. He could simply watch, let the energy flow, and return to the quiet steadiness of his own awareness.